and today I'm doing my TBR for the Femme FanTale Readathon hosted by Jean at Bookishthoughts, I believe. And this is a readathon running from the August 18th to the 25th. So I am pausing my newts and I'm going to do a week or 8 days of fantasy written by women. So today I'm going to talk about my TBR for the readathon, as well as give you guys some recommendations alongside the books that I'm planning to read. So hopefully you can find some great recommendations and also join in if you'd like to. Yeah, I've never done this readathon before, but I realized that when I was looking on my shelves, I actually don't have that much female written fantasy. So I thought that it is a great time to remedy that. So of course I may not get to all of these. I think this is either 11 or a dozen books that I'm planning to read in 8 days. So it's probably not going to happen. But keep in mind that many of these books do double or triple or even quadruple up on challenges. But I figured I would give one book per challenge to hopefully give you guys more options if you're looking for stuff to read. So keep in mind that a lot of these I may be planning to use for multiple challenges, but I just wanted to share as many female written fantasy books as possible. So the first challenge is to read a BAME author. So for this one, I am going to read MFK by Nilah Magruder. We're following a main character who is deaf, and she is going across the sacred sand lands to bury her father's ashes, spread his ashes where he wanted them to be spread. But along her way, obviously, there is a lot of danger and a lot of mortal enemies that she will have to face or get around, or just generally get through all of these challenges in order to fulfill her father's wishes. And I'm getting major Nausicaa vibes. If you have ever seen Nausicaa of the Valley of the Winds, 1984 video movie out by Studio Ghibli, one of the opening scenes is her meeting a traveler kind of in the desert like this, and there's a carrying companion and then Nausicaa with the cape, and just very Nausicaa feels. I'm also digging the art style. Yeah, so I really love the illustration and the color style. So this is my pick for BAME. So the book that I want to recommend you guys for this is Monstress, which is an illustrated series, and it is so amazing. It's kind of like steampunk and Art Deco had a baby, and then that baby was a female warrior who has a demon god inside of her. That's this series, and it's very dark, it's very adult, and it is just so good. So if you're looking for a BAME read for this challenge, I highly recommend. It's awesome. Okay, the next one is queer content. So for the queer content, I'm planning to read Girls of Paper and Fire. This is following a girl who is chosen as a courtesan for the king, and she is picked amongst very many other girls, and I believe she develops a love interest with one of the other girls or one of the people in the castle, which is highly forbidden. So we have a bit of forbidden love going on, queer content, and I've also heard nothing but great things about this, and I know that the sequel is coming out soon, this fall, so I really want to read this one so that I can read that one. If you guys have read it, let me know your thoughts down below. And the recommendation for the queer category here is The Tea Dragon Society by Katie O'Neill. I have just been loving Katie O'Neill. Her drawing illustration style is so adorable, lots of round, soft edges, lots of really pastel color palettes. I love it so much. In the Tea Dragon Society, we are following a main character who is training to be a blacksmith, but she's not sure that that's what she really wants to do, when one day she stumbles upon a tiny little tea dragon, and the tea dragon is lost, and so she helps it get home to the tea dragon kind of house. And she makes friends with the owner and the other tea dragons, and another girl who is staying there, and it's just so much great queer rep, and the tea dragons are adorable, and yeah, I just love it so much. So I highly recommend that if you're looking for some adorable queer content for this challenge. So next is the multiple point of view challenge, and for this I'm going to read The Queen of Ieflaria and I first heard about this from Jean actually, and it's been on my list for a while. So we are following a kind of society where there are dragons, and there are a whole race of people that have been raised to basically interact and tame the dragons, be able to like kind of manage the dragons. And then there is another culture which is having really dragon problems, so they are planning to marry their prince to the dragon tamers society like princess, and they'll have an arranged marriage, and everyone will be happy and the dragons will be like calmed down in that society. Instead, what happens is that prince dies, so then they decide to pair up their princess with this princess. So it's a princess-princess arranged marriage thing with dragons. And I cannot wait to read it. Jean has said nothing but good things about it, so I'm really, really anticipating it, and I hope that it is great. It's also pretty short, which is a great thing for a readathon. And a recommendation is one that I have not read myself yet, but it is on my shelf. I bought it recently, and it is Lorali by Laura Dockrill. So this one is about a mermaid who ends up on land, and she's kind of discovering like the land around her, the topsiders I believe they're called, along like a seafront town during a freak storm. And I know that it has multiple perspectives, it's YA, and I just saw it at my local kind of like discount bookstore, and I thought it sounded really, really cute. I just accidentally read a spoiler somewhere on the internet, so I'm waiting a while to read this, hoping that I will magically forget that I read that spoiler. So I recommend this for other people that haven't been spoiled, and the cover is really, really pretty. I love like the mermaid scales. Yeah. Okay. So next is for YA. So actually Lorali would also work for YA, but I'm planning to read An Enchantment of Ravens by Margaret Rogerson. I've heard great things about this, and I've also heard great things about the second book out by this author called A Sorcery of Thorns, I think. Yeah, so I'm really, really excited to get to this. This is following an artiste who is commissioned to paint a painting of one of the Fae Lords, I believe. He's a dark Fae, yeah, the immortal fair folk, and she makes the mistake of painting emotion into his eyes, and he's really embarrassed when he like opens it up and everyone in the court is like kind of laughing and thinks that he has a weakness, like a weak emotion in him. So he like basically captures and kidnaps the artist down to the Fate underworld, and I'm just really excited about it. I've heard great things, and I think I'll also fly through it. I've been wanting to read it for a really long time, so I was just overjoyed when I realized that my local library had it. So yeah, I'm really excited to get into this YA read. And a recommendation for this is one of the books I've had like on my bookshelves for a good long while, and it's Angelfall by Susan E. I read this whole series, I guess, like quite a while ago when I first started BookTube, like maybe a few years ago, and I wasn't expecting to love it as much as I did. Definitely the first book was like perfection, and we are following basically a girl who is trying to take care of her wheelchair-bound sister in the world where it's been a month and a half after angels have destroyed the earth. Everything is fine until the day when her sister is carried off by angels, and she needs to seek out a way to find her sister. And wouldn't you know it, an angel has a battle, and the losing angel plummets to earth, and that is this story. So if that sounds interesting to you, go ahead and pick this up. This is like this is like an oldie, but definitely a goodie. So if you're looking for female written fantasy, this is one to check out in the YA realm. Okay, so next is a retelling. So for this one, I'm going to read The Dark Wife, which I have been meaning to read for a good while. This is a retelling of the Greek myth of Hades and Persephone, where Hades, the god of the underworld, basically kidnapped, stole Persephone, and made him marry him or his prisoner down in the underworld, much to the chagrin of Persephone and also her mother Demeter, who's the goddess of the harvest. And that's kind of the original way that we got the seasons, I believe. But I have been really looking forward to this because this is a retelling where Hades is a female. So this is actually a female-female romance. So it is not like exactly accurate to the original myths, but I mean, it's a retelling, so just go with it, guys. But I'm really excited to get to this. I've been wanting to read it forever. And the recommendation I have for you guys is The Boneless Mercies by April Genevieve Tucholke. Sorry. And this is a retelling of the Beowulf myth. So if you're into Beowulf, then I recommend this. This is kind of like a very light retelling where it does not follow the original very much at all. I'd say it follows the original more closely when they get to the end. So they get to like the hall and they go on the adventure to find the monster. So this is very interesting. It's 4 boneless mercies who are basically death givers, where people will pay them to kill someone who's like at the end of their life or very ill. They're basically mercy killings. And they kind of band together to form this group of kind of fearless women who are going on this adventure. So if you liked Beowulf and you like fearless bands of women, this would be for you. The Boneless Mercies, and I love the cover. Okay. So getting into the next one is read a standalone. I'm gonna go ahead and give myself a check on the standalone because many of the books that I have already mentioned are standalone, and so yeah, I'm not gonna focus on that one. The next is to read a book from a different country, and for me, I'm going to read Sealskin by Sue Bristow. So this is following Donald, who is a young fisherman who one day makes a choice that he will impact the rest of his life when he sees selkies removing their skin. And he is in Scotland? Yeah, the west coast of Scotland. So that's not an area that I have read very much from. I'm really looking forward to this. It is small, and I also haven't read that many selkie legends. So if you don't know, selkies are kind of swimming, I think they're monk seals, and when they want to go on land, they can unzip their skin and like a beautiful woman steps out. But the thing about it is that they have to hide their skins, because if someone takes their skins, then they're stuck in human form until they get it back. So I'm really excited about this, and I haven't really heard that much about it, but I'm excited nonetheless. For a book that is a recommendation, I will recommend Wicked Fox to you by Kat Cho. Now, I have not read this, but I do know it's getting a ton of hype. It is set in Seoul, South Korea. So Wicked Fox is about a gumiho who is a 9-tailed fox, and she needs to feed on souls to survive, and she decides to be a good gumiho by feeding on basically bad boys' souls, bad men's souls. But one day she gets in the middle of like an ancient feud when she protects a boy who is in the forest, and she loses her fox speed and she becomes mortal. And so they start off on a journey to get her fox speed back so that she can be immortal again. And I have heard a lot of hype about this one because it's been in a bunch of box releases lately. Like I've seen beautiful purple sprayed edges, I think, or pink, I can't remember. The cover's absolutely gorgeous. I'm just a little nervous about it. I want to hear some more feedback, so that's why I chose to go with Sealskin instead of Wicked Fox. Yeah. Okay. So the next one is to read an adult book, and for this I have picked up Salt Slow by Jumia Armfield. So this is a collection of dark, creepy short stories, and between that description and this cover and rave reviews that I've heard on BookTube, I was sold. So I was so thrilled when my library got this, so this is what I'm going to be dipping into. As for a recommendation, I recommend Teeth by Hannah Moskowitz. Now this one is really cool, very depressing as well. So we are following Rudy, whose younger sibling is very ill, and they hear about this island where the fish that swim around the island have curing properties. So the whole family moves to this deserted, foggy, very like rainy, like ocean crashing island off the coast, and magical things start to happen. And this may or may not have a merman named Teeth in it. But this definitely has some very dark adult content, so trigger warnings, and be an adult if you're going to read this book, because it has some really dark stuff in here, such as like physical sexual violence, and also like just generally death, mortal illness, I guess. So yeah, definitely adult, but it was really good. It's one of like my favorite books ever. Yeah, highly recommend. Alright, so next is to read something from middle grade, and for this one I'm going to read The Girl Who Drank the Moon. So I believe that this is a story about a witch who the villagers think needs a, sacrifice every year in order to keep the village safe. So they keep leaving babies for the witch in the woods, but the witch is like, what? So she rescues the babies, actually, and she takes care of them and raises them on her own. And usually she finds new homes for them, I believe, except this one baby has too much magic in her, I think. So she has to be raised by the witch. And I really am looking forward to this. I've heard nothing but amazing things about this. It has super high ratings, and I'm really excited. And then another one that I'm pretty sure is middle grade is Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wynne Jones. This is just a classic. I have read this because I really love the Ghibli movie, obviously, Howl's Moving Castle. And we are following Sophie, who is a hat maker, and she is kind of okay with her lot in life, but it's kind of the mundane. She lets people step all over her, and she's not really recognized for being like anything that great until she catches the eye of the Witch of the Waste, who puts a curse on her, and she realizes that the only way she can undo the curse is if she finds Howl of Howl's Moving Castle to undo the curse. So yeah, I love this one, and I really recommend it for everyone who likes a bit of witchery and just generally good old-fashioned like tomfoolery and shenanigans, because Howl is definitely different in this book than in the movie, so it's just a different perspective on Howl. Okay, we have 3 more things to talk about. The next one is to read a sequel. So I'm actually going to read the sequel of The Queen of Ieflaria, which is Daughter of the Sun. And I'm basically just putting all my eggs in one basket with that one because Jean of Bookishthoughts said that she absolutely loved the second one as well as the first one, and I read the synopsis of the second one, I guess, and it's like you're following 2 new characters in that world, so it's going to be great, I think. And I'm really highly anticipating it, and I hope that I love it. And a recommendation for you is a Cotta Warrior, which by Nnedi Okorafor. The first one is a Cotta Witch. I'm not necessarily sure it's the best for a readathon because I do believe it's quite long. However, a Cotta Witch and a Cotta Warrior are like super amazing. They are following the main character named Sunny, who is an albino, and she discovers that she may have magical powers latent within her, and it is just so awesome. It's a lot of African lore, kind of voodoo culture, and it's set in like this just amazing like African village world. It's like reading stuff that I never knew about before. I love Nnedi Okorafor. The next one is to read something under 150 pages, and for me, I'm going to read In Ageless Sleep, which is a female queer Sleeping Beauty retelling set in space. Ta-da! When I first heard about this, I wanted to read it so bad, but I've been waiting to read it during a readathon because I believe it's only like 50 pages, so it's like perfect readathon material. So I'm really looking forward to this. Also, the cover is just gorgeous. And as for a recommendation for under 150, I'm gonna go with Katie O'Neill again and recommend Princess Ever After, which is about a princess who is stuck in a tower, very like a la Rapunzel, and she has curvy rep, and she's also sick of not being rescued by princes, when a princess who has shirked her princessly duties rides up, and she has like a shaved mohawk. She's awesome, and she's also a princess of color, and she goes to rescue the curvy princess in the tower, and then they set off on adventures together. Oh my god, this is amazing. Katie O'Neill basically is like an auto-read, auto-buy, auto-love author. So this one also, I believe, is around 50 pages, and it is absolutely amazing. I highly recommend it for any age, and yeah, I just loved it so much. So highly recommend, and I'm in love with Katie O'Neill and everything she ever does. So yeah. And the last challenge that I want to talk about is the one that's like to read to read a female written fantasy before 2000, I believe. And this was actually a big challenge for me. I couldn't find any at the library that I was super interested in. I don't have none on my shelves that I'm super interested in. So I was starting to get really stressed, realizing that I couldn't find one. And I know that Deerskin by McKinley, I believe, is one that would qualify. But when I was looking at like my huge list of potential books, it just wasn't one that like super thrilled me or super like stuck out to me. So for this one, I'm just gonna not do this one, which is pretty rare for me, but I was honestly getting really stressed about like not being able to find one and not finding one that sounded honestly interesting to me. So I really don't like to read books that are totally like beyond what I think I would like, because I just want to read for fun. This is like a hobby. So if you guys have any recommendations for one that's written before 2000 that you think I would like, that's also kind of shorter for this readathon, let me know down below. That would be amazing. And if not, we're just gonna kind of push this challenge like off to the side and forget it existed. I hope that you enjoyed learning about my TBR for Femme FanTale Readathon. I'm really excited to be doing it this year. Big thanks to Jean at Bookishthoughts. And I hope you also learned about some new female written fantasy books. So yeah, without further ado, I'm gonna say bye for now. See you next time. Bye!